This is an interview of me with Stacey Salyer on her podcast, The Stacey Salyer Show, which is mostly about buying and selling property management companies and a smarter way to grow. The way that AI fits into this idea of a smarter way to grow is if you're about to add 100 doors, 150 doors, even 50 doors, or, 400 doors in an acquisition, you are going to be looking at major risks around hiring. A smarter way, a better way, a more AI native way that is now available is this idea of duplicating your second brain into an AI that can now scale with you, making decisions and needing less people as you continue to grow, and therefore making the experience of your customers that you're bringing on and the customers that stay with you more standardized. That being said, this is an interview of Stacey asking me why people are approaching AI the wrong way, what's keeping them stuck. And we get a little bit into, talking about acquisitions and stuff like that. But this is mostly around these kind of like misconceptions of why people still have not seen the results that they've seen with AI. It's from, I think we recorded this kind of like beginning of this year, but she recently released on her show. It's like her third most downloaded episode. I think it's worth sharing with you. And of course, Stacey is my bestie. So I love all things Stacey Salyer. Go check her podcast out when you're done with this. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go.
Golden retriever of property management, my bestie, Pablo with Vendoroo. So that can be your opening now as you go into 2026. So why don't we just jump in? I would love to talk about kind of I'm going to call it the old school thought leadership, AI, where everybody, well, you can eloquently say it better, but like what you're kind of been talking about lately is, everybody's looking at AI as like this tool, like chat or Claude, right? And the process thing versus agentic. Yeah. And I have some thoughts on that. And I would love to talk about what I consider the old school thought on that and what I consider also the new school. New school. I'm part of the new school, if y'all don't know.
For sure. You are, Stacey, for me, what I identified in you immediately is this idea that you're a trend spotter that isn't just a trend spotter, but an action taker in the trend spotter. And because of that, you have all these receipts of like understanding how big context shifts create giant opportunities for people that take action on it, right? Like that's kind of the story that I tell about you all over the place. But you're right. It's really not, I can't blame people for it. I don't think we've ever been exposed to something that moves so freaking quickly and is so like profound, right? Like if we look at how different the world was 20 years ago in 2005, and you're running a property management company, you're probably debating whether or not to run a yellow page ad versus versus something else, right? Like Facebook hadn't even been existed, versus Google PPC, right?
Right.
So
Well, I was in property management and we faxed over our little ads and we did debate. Was it the Everett Herald or was it Little Nickel this week? I don't know. And we faxed it.
Yeah. Or like, do I even need a web page? I'm like out there shaking hands, right? Like, so, if you think about the rate of change of technology over the last 20 years, people, what they blame is Moore's law, right? The idea that microchips double in capacity every 2 years. So like technology basically doubles every 2 years. And what we know to be true about AI is that AI doubles in power every 6 months to 8 months, right? So it's like 4 times faster than this old rate of change, which if you just do the simple transitive property of mathematics, how different the world is 20 years ago, right? This like yellow pages world to the world we're in today. It wouldn't be crazy to believe that in 5 years, in 2030, the world is going to feel equally as different based on like the technologies and the channels and the tools that we use. So that rate of change it's already hard enough to comprehend the fact that if they would have done Back to the Future 2 right now, it would have been in the year 2000. Right?
Right.
So
Right.
to then think that by the year 2030 we're going to feel equally as different is really hard to comprehend on the human scale.
Right.
So
Right.
this old school thought leadership around AI
Mhm.
really comes from the fact that people get asymmetric information.
Correct.
If you just think logically, the majority of folks are going to test the AI tools that are coming from the big established players,
Right.
and those
And
big established players have have pre-existing relationships with the people that have pre-existing audience distribution and these kinds of
Right.
things.
Yep.
So really the majority of the narrative is going to come from like these like established companies. But that's the
Right.
equivalent of saying in 2005 that you're going to get all of your movie rental advice from Blockbuster instead of getting it from Netflix. Right.
Right.
Because what
Right.
we know to be true is that is in these like periods of like rapid disruption,
Right.
the incumbent, the old player, has all this like attachment to the past. So they're trying to
Correct.
bring the past forward as opposed to the new challengers that show up and are reverse engineering the future. So
Right.
like listening to those folks right now is particularly important so that you're not anchoring your beliefs to like what was possible 2 years ago versus what
Sure.
is possible right now in a state of really rapid change.
Yeah, I see it kind of almost as I mean, I don't know if scarcity mindset is the right way, but kind of that scarcity, scared mindset of, well, it's always been this way. Because a lot of those platforms have been around for a long time and they have kind of the, specific like thought leaders that represent them, if you will. But yeah, instead of looking at it in that new way of like, hey, there can be change and the only constant is change, right?
Yeah.
It's also kind of that category design. I mean, I know you turned me on to category design, and
Great pride in it.
yes, and right. So like when a new category is being created, isn't it like the people in the old category original? Isn't it kind of their thing where they kind of like go after the new category, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, is that kind of what you're seeing a little bit, or?
I mean, that's exactly what I'm explaining with Blockbuster, right? Like it's not that, it's that they think that. I think the best way to put it is they have this attachment to the past. The story I like to tell about like Blockbuster and Netflix is that like when Netflix first started and was doing DVDs by mail, Blockbuster saw it. They had the opportunity to buy Netflix for like $1 million. They didn't do it, not because they didn't think that what Netflix was doing was a bad idea. They did it because they're like, dude, we can do DVDs by mail. Like, no big deal. I'm the big player. And then once they started doing it, they realized that their revenue per square foot of commercial real estate started going down. And then internally, they started having conversations saying, we're cannibalizing our business. Let's kill DVDs by mail. And we all know what happened next, right?
Yeah. Now
There's
they're
no more
all
doubt.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now they're all gone. And that's what you see over and over in these periods of technological disruption, whether it is internet companies versus old thing, right? Like where like where the old kind of like CRM that used to come on a hard drive thing versus Salesforce and what that became, or Blockbuster versus Netflix, or cabs versus Uber, or these kinds of things. It's this like attachment to bringing the past forward as opposed to like thinking where the world is going and like building towards it. So these established players, these big PMSs that now, they've grown so much, they have so much market share that they need to still tell a story of growth. They're not gonna tell their investors, we're gonna get this many more clients. They're gonna tell investors, hey, we're gonna build some AI, we're gonna sell to existing clients. That's a great story for them to grow revenue.
Sure.
But they're gonna be beholden to this like old infrastructure and these old kind of like KPIs and architecture and things that worked for them in the past, as opposed to truly being like free to build under the new philosophy, right? Kind of like Rosetta Stone used to be the software that we all understood to like learn a new language. Duolingo saw, oh, hey, mobile is becoming a thing. Instead of building, a way to learn new languages via my laptop, I'm going to build it via cell phone. And now nobody knows who Rosetta Stone, and everybody talks about Duolingo, right? Like it's those kinds of things.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's very interesting. So what do you see in like 2026? Like what do you see a shift coming? I mean, do you see like new thought leaders popping onto the market, or maybe some of the thought leaders that are out there who are kind of like in the middle and they're going to they're like, oh, okay, I do see kind of what you're saying. I don't know. What do you think?
I really haven't thought about it that much from the thought leadership standpoint. I am betting on this idea that, like you said, in category design, new categories create other categories, right? So it's like the face of thought leadership is already changing. If you look at where all the thought leadership came from not that long ago, it was kind of like NARPM and that's it, right? Right. Then the internet came around. Now a bunch of people with their own audience are able to sell their own courses and their own community. And now that's become a big center of influence as well. That can rival NARPM, right? So that becomes that center of influence. I think that as we carry on here, because AI is moving so quickly, and because you need, in order to keep up with it, like some people are going to get these extraordinary results, and these like big centers of influence that don't want to break their past relationships, there is going to be more opportunity for someone to show up with like ground up insights that's figured out like a different way to do it, and grow a following around that based on these new tools and how this stuff happens. And I just think it's going to be a little bit more decentralized as far as that happens. Like I think we really need kind of like a ground up insights megaphone that isn't controlled by an association gatekeeper or a or some kind of like membership community or something like that like says who's in and who's out. I'm not really sure what that looks like, but I think that that's coming in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I would see that. So I know you've talked a lot about like AI as a teammate. I know I've even used that term. So do you want to talk more about that and like what that looks like?
Sure. Sure. Okay. I mean, like there's two kinds of AI. Most of us, when we think of AI, we think of ChatGPT, right? Like that was like the big viral moment of AI, right? That's a type of AI called generative AI. I describe generative AI as a genie. You rub the lamp, you get a wish. It's magical. It's really cool, right? Like I have a deep relationship with my ChatGPT account, but it always comes back to me to then rub the lamp again and continue to do it. Agentic AI is essentially a new form of AI that's been made possible by generative AI. Against new categories create other categories. And it's how you link this like generative AI workflows to like make decisions and challenge you and do all these different things, so that instead of a genie, it's more like the Terminator. You give it a job and it's able to like continue trying to do this job in a way that's much more like a person would try to do this job. Like these things built correctly have a certain skill set, so they're able to like perform things. They also have a certain judgment, so they're able to not do certain things if they're not sure that, like this is how you want it done. And then they also have another like layer that's going to continue to happen of experience, where it knows how to do it. It doesn't know exactly if you want it done. If you don't know how to do it, it can give you advice on how to get like in between those. So how you string these things together, how you train AI with a new form of like there's the data that we've always had, but then there's kind of like how you structure the AI and train it in a way that uses the data to do a job. So it's like the difference between like textbooks, which was the data, and a school, right? Like how do you actually raise an intelligence to like perform a certain way? That's what's being developed right now. And once like we're starting to get that really, really right. Like, and we're only on like day one, and it really starts to behave like that teammate, right? Like it really starts to go from being a tool to being like a resource that has judgment that actually helps you and prevents you from doing certain things. And it isn't just kind of like up to you to either do the homework or like make sure that you're supervising at all times. It works as like a mirror and like a way to kind of like self-examine so that you can continue learning.
Yeah. And you guys you're solving maintenance, which is like the hardest thing to solve in property management. I mean, I've done it right for over 20 years. So, I mean, maintenance is the hardest thing to solve, in my opinion. And I think probably everybody would agree with that. So have you seen success? Like, have you seen companies where they've maybe, I don't even know if they've gotten rid of their maintenance coordinator, like their human one, or maybe they've promoted their maintenance coordinator to something different. And I guess you've also kind of talked a little bit about like processes, like should you use that kind of AI before your processes are totally built out or not? You want to kind of go through all that?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. Yes, we deliberately decided to tackle the biggest problem in property management, right? Like, I think it was, as a founding insight, it's like, if you can do this, then you can do anything, kind of thing.
Yep.
And we had to build it a completely different way if you're going to do that, right? Like, you can't take the headspace. Oh, like, you can't, if you're hiring someone to do a job for you, like, it's a great hire if you're like, oh, I put Stacey in charge of that. Now I don't even have to worry about it, right? Like, that's the sign of a great hire, right?
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't help you do a job better. It frees you up to go do something else.
Right.
And in order to do that, in order to like be able to start with that, we had to start with that outcome. Like, we had to start with, how do we completely own the outcome of maintenance coordination, as opposed to just like slicing little pieces off and like what we can do, which is generally the software approach, right? So
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So we had to start off with basically a remote team maintenance department, right? That was using a brand new AI that we had been training and doing it that way, right? And the product was really just like, yeah, no, we're going to coordinate maintenance for you, but it's really mostly a human that we've trained that is using this tool that we've created, knowing that as the tool continues to get better and better, eventually it becomes a human that is being informed by the tool, and eventually that AI itself becomes the combination with just like a certain amount of oversight in the background as well. Right. So we had to kind of like own the outcome in order to be able to like build something that could really take work off of your plate. And so early on, it's like, yeah, cool, man. I feel like I just hired like a super VA. And that's how it felt. Right. And then slowly but surely, it's really become this thing where at some point now that AI is being directly used by the property manager, and we have people that, like you said, right, like they've gone from being maintenance coordinators to being AI agent managers that are managing maintenance, right? And I get texts regularly from people saying like, dude, Vendoroo automated 98% of my maintenance this week. This is what I did with my job. Right? Like, and it's no longer like putting out fires and stuff like that. It's like, oh, hey, we had this one quote that was 12 grand. So I spent a whole bunch of time researching and putting this presentation together for the owner to feel like we made the right decision. Oh, I realized that like, because the AI is coordinating that, I'm not super pumped with like my like secondary plumber. So I went out and talked to a bunch of other plumbers. I gave them a couple of work, right? Like, you're really kind of like managing the forest instead of the trees. And that's really starting. We're really, like that's really happening to the point where we now have people that are, joining, and in like this isn't the typical scenario, but we had 1,000-door property management company come on, and 2 weeks later they were at 95% automation.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And being able to show that, right? So that's insane, right? Obviously they had great processes. Always they had all these other things. But what we've realized is that you had to have this tool be able to show you the way as it's doing the result, right? So like creating an onboarding process that, like, if you think about your best, like if you think about a great hire, right? Like you're not like 60 days in, you're not wondering where like, is Pablo really good at his job? Maybe we got to give him a little bit more time. Right. And that hire, that person came in with a certain skill set, again, that could do the job immediately to a certain level, a certain judgment that could like stop themselves if they needed your help, and a certain bit of experience to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I need help. We're not really sure. Let's figure this thing out together. So, building this thing out in a way that can like not just take the reins on day one to a certain extent, but also be able to guide the property manager of like, what are the things that are missing as they're coming up in order to like get there as quickly as possible, has really just unlocked this. Like, we've gone from like a handful of people that are having this like extraordinary AI czar success to, I think James from PMI at SFR West came up to us like, hey guys, whatever you guys are doing, like in this last kind of like round of what you're doing, right? Because we had just come off of their big event. He's like, keep doing that, man. Like the stories we're hearing inside the community are insane, because this, from a technology standpoint, from a company standpoint, what we're reporting, to our investors is we have under 2% churn, right? Like less than 2% of people are failing when they use our product. It means that like these results are becoming more and more common. And as you know, as we just said, we're just on like the first date with AI, right? Like this is, in 6 months, it's going to be twice as good. Someone else is going to also build tools that are going to catch up to this stuff. This is going to be the new norm faster than we think.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot changing. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. I think it's super exciting. I mean, I think there's huge opportunity, whether you're, building PMC or buying one or whatever.
If we want to, do we want to put it on the conversation of like buying PMCs and how it affects that?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk a little bit about that. So do you see, I'm just kind of curious, like just again, your thought, do you see property management companies being able to run primarily with AI agents in the future? Agentic, like maybe over, maintenance, leasing, a lot of the tasky type stuff, and then maybe like less humans, or what do you kind of see with that after you've been in property management for a little bit?
I love how full circle this is, Stacey, because I remember the first time that you and I talked on camera, it was me asking you this at Broker Owner, right? Like, and we came up with this vision, right? Like, I remember your vision. It's a beautiful vision, right? Like this, like vision of kind of like a property management company that's really more a community builder and like a value aggregator in the community that has way fewer people, because you're able to do these tasks. I really think we're really on track for that. Like here's what we are seeing. We used to think that you needed a maintenance coordinator per kind of like maybe like 100 to 200 doors. As things have expanded, right? Like think about the cliffs in property management, right? Like it's kind of like you get to somewhere around 50 doors, you got to go hire somebody, right? Like you get somewhere around that 250 door threshold, you got to have like a team to get you to that 600 door threshold. And at that 600 door threshold, you got to go hire a whole nother team to be able to like get to that 1,000 door threshold kind of thing, right? Like you're doubling in headcount.
Yeah, the old school. Yes, the old school thought.
The old school thought.
The suit and tie.
Yeah, the suit and tie. Like what we're seeing right now is you're going to be able to manage 1,000 to 2,000 doors with like 2 or 3 people for sure. In the old school way, if you are employing agentic AI in this kind of way, I would say, what we don't say, which I'm officially not saying this, is that what we really believe it's more like 4,000 doors with a very, very small team is going to be is very possible today. And I think to like, if we're really going to like look out there and think about what the jobs that we're doing, there is going to be, a person that is really in charge of kind of like managing the AI agents, right? Like you'll probably have an AI agent for each kind of like task heavy, coordination heavy department, right? Like these like non-value add things, where what you continue to do is add discernment to it. Right. Like like there's always going to be edge cases. There's always going to be a moment where the AI is going to like raise their hand and says, I've never seen this before. Right. Like as we build our product, we build that in-house. Right. Like we realize that we need to have a human overseeing kind of like every edge case, or else we're not going to be able to like fulfill this process. Luckily, we started with a team of experts that were using this thing and they're still here. Right. So like we can continue to do that. But in a relationship business like property management that has such a long duration, I think the jobs inside of property management are going to be greatly turned into relationship building, experience making. Like it's going to look much more hospitality. If we want to talk about asset management, right? Like what does your financial advisor do for a living? They don't sit there trading stocks. They take you to lunch. And they host luncheons, and they go, like it's going to be it's going to look much more like that. While the machines are kind of like doing the doing and the analyzing and the coordinating in the background, you'll need people that like know how to network and know how to build a great vendor network that'll never go old. Right. Like you're going to need people doing the things with their hands on site. So maybe you vertically integrate because now you have all this capacity and you can bring on your own plumber and your own HVAC, like maybe it's that, but it's really gonna be like the stuff that you need to do to take care of the property hands on, and then the things that you need to do to make people feel to make people feel like they can trust you, and
Right.
and other ways of like building credibility and deep relationships with folks. It's going to be even more of a relationship business, which I think is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. No, I 1000% agree with you. I think, and one thing you and I have talked about before, and I think you've even mentioned this elsewhere, is that we'll be able to manage more by exception. Because I know, I mean, even me coming from, PM, I actually taught my staff not to manage by exception, because what happened was when we managed by exception, we were all humans, right?
Yeah.
And so it took human to like look in the platform, like look into Buildium, like, can we do this? Like what, what does this particular client want? And so I said, no, we can't do that, because now we have way too many doors. And if we manage by exception, we'll mess up. But I think we've talked about this, where using the Agentic AI agents, we essentially could pretty easily manage by exception, right? I mean, like, somebody wants to be called about every maintenance request. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
My AI guy can call you. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, do you foresee that happening?
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Stacey. Like when I think about management by exception today, I think about property managers dying by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yep.
Like if you're gonna go out there and listen to the market's telling you, owners are like, I want more control. I want things done more my way. I want, responses within an hour or two. What they don't realize is like a question that they ask may take you 3 hours to answer when you're like putting together work orders and text message chains and looking inside of a PMS system and calling a vendor and doing these kinds of things. But if you have, and like you're taking phone calls and, like people are worrying about that. If you have an AI that is like answering the phones for you, you have an AI that is like being able to figure out what the issue is and really like understand the issue, prescribe the solution for 90 to 95% of situations. And then kind of like coordinate the like the multiple parties of like when people need to actually talk. You're really opening up a whole bunch of bandwidth to start doing other things. And then on top of that, if you have an AI that you can say, hey, like we've always done the process this way, but for these 3 houses, like I just want it done like this. And that AI can then create a workflow, implement it for exactly those 3 houses, and now do that every single time. You start to really be able to like mass customize experiences,
Right.
so that the exceptions are the things that really, really matter, right? Like that super high bill showing up, with showing up with a beer to be like, hey, let's talk about this bill, as opposed to just like having 5 minutes to like make a phone call and be like, hey, this is what's going on. I just want to keep you abreast. And they're going to be like, what, $7,000? What are you talking about? You're like, yeah, no, we've got it, but I've got to go make these other calls so that stuff happens, right? Like having the capacity to have these like really human conversations starts to be opened up, right? Like it's not just like, are we able to show up? It's like, are we able to show up fully? That's managing by exception. That I think that's what I think of when I think of managing by exception. It's like most of these like task checklist things don't really move the needle. They just have to be done. And then there's like 10 to 20% of moments where if you show up, man, you are really moving the needle. And if you show up with like the full capacity and you're fully prepared for it, that's where you build these like customer loyalty and like sense of, whether it's I'm never moving from this house or I'm never changing my property manager, right? Like that's kind of like those moments where you build deep, deep trust and relationship, and as a business owner, lifetime value.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then really, I think the challenge right now, those who aren't even, incorporating any sort of AI like what you guys have, but, when we look at managing by exception, we're just thinking, kind of like what I described, but we also don't have the time to build the relationships that we really want. Doesn't mean that we don't want to. I mean, of course I would love to just take people out to lunch all day long or meet for coffee. Or go golfing or whatever it is you want to go do, play pickleball, whatever. But I mean, the average property manager and then the business owner, I mean, it's like fires every day. So having that teammate would just be able to just get you back into that. And then managing by exception wouldn't even really be a thing anymore. It would just be, oh, I create this particular experience. This is what Pablo wants. I know him and I know exactly what he wants. And now he also trusts me because we have this relationship. It's not like I met you one time at your house. I stood there for 30 minutes, explained who we are, what we did, all the exciting things, and then had you sign an agreement, and then we never talked again. So,
Stacey, have you read Unreasonable Hospitality?
I don't know if I've read that one. I should.
So it's a book about, I think it's called like 11 Madison Park or something like that. It's a restaurant in New York that won the designation of like the best restaurant in the world at a certain point. And really what they did was, fine dining used to be a type of category, right? Like, well, it is a category, right? Like, but the category of fine dining was really just like every restaurant looks the same and it's just all about how good the food is, right? Like that's it. What these folks did was say, yeah, we're going to have the best food, right? It's going to taste amazing. The technique is going to be great. It's going to be well plated, all these things. But we're also going to really obsess over experience. And we're gonna add that to the mix, right? Like, so they built this culture around that. They systemize this thing. They have at this restaurant, they have a role called the dream weaver. That person's job is to float around the dining room to like listen in on conversations and based on what they hear, go create a one-off experience for people. Like for example, like this is in New York, right? Like they overheard somebody saying, "Man, this is like the best meal I've ever had. This has been such a great trip. The only thing I didn't try was like a street dog in New York that everybody talks about." That person went out to like a hot dog vendor, brought it to the chef. The chef like plated it in a specific way, and they're like, "Hey, we just want you to have the full experience here. Here's a street dog, right?" Like,
right.
And that goes on. And they were able to, that's like a one-off thing, but they were able to systematize this whole like dream weaving thing. They started thinking about like, well, this is a super fancy restaurant. Many people are going to get engaged here. What's the exact experience we want to create for that? They created a partnership with Tiffany's across the street so that like when they bring them the champagne flute, they get them like these like Tiffany's glasses and then they can keep them and like whatever. They have, like they created, like they knew that there were some people that are like, this is the last stop before they go to the airport. So when they heard that, they had like a designed experience for that. And then of course they have these other, so they kind of categorized experiences from like happens often, happens sometimes, one-offs, right? And then they systematized it. But and then they won best restaurant in the world because of this thing. And now that's like a whole thing, right? Like your experience that you have in a restaurant is real. I think we're going to head that way. Like so far, property management has only been able to focus on the meal, right? Like how does the asset perform, right? But as we start to bring these new agentic AI tools to like get us, like out of the weeds of just the infinite complexity of how to actually get somebody to like living in a house that they don't own and pay rent on time, like, and feel seen and feel taken care of. We're gonna, like that, this like ability to focus on like hospitality and experience making and all these different things is gonna start like differentiating us, which is, I know, something that you really like.
Yeah, I do. So what about, because you haven't been in the industry for very long. So when you came in, did you see a lot of people kind of almost like, I don't know if I want to use the word jaded, but just kind of like.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Jaded. Okay. Yeah. It's like, because if you really boil it down, like I've been talking a little bit about this the last few weeks, is like we really actually serve our community, right? So wherever we have our business, like we're providing housing for people.
Yep.
They're not our enemies.
Yeah.
Our residents are not our enemies.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the industry, that's kind of the thing. And I don't know, and it's not necessarily like everybody, but I feel like there's a lot of that like animosity, like, oh, you're a tenant, like this negative, right? But it's like, but you're providing housing and they're, living in the house and they're paying rent.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like, as we move forward, there's probably some pretty cool ways that people could create some amazing, like beautiful businesses that really kind of take it up like more notches than we probably even can think of. Right.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the jaded thing, because I think the jaded thing is pretty pervasive in property management. And I don't blame property managers, right? Like you are doing a super tough job to provide housing for someone, and in general, you're just getting crapped on by everybody telling you that you're not good enough, that what you're doing isn't good enough, right? Like that's what the statistics say. right? Like that's what the market has told us. So of course you're going to get jaded with some of that stuff. And then on top of that, you're going to have, then you have vendors that come into the space saying, oh, I'm going to save your life, right? Like, like I'm a software developer and I'm going to make this thing go away. Or you have property managers that create a solution that, and they're not tech vendors, right? Like they don't know how to build a technology company. They just figured out how to do something for themselves. And they're like, oh, I can turn it out to you, so like that, the space has been largely ignored.
Yeah.
By anybody other than that for a really, really long time. So when you're a scenario where like your stakeholders are consistently telling you you're not good enough, and the people that serve you are consistently over promising and under delivering, I think it's the perfect recipe to be jaded, right? Like I think one of it's so funny because Reza, our founder at Vendoroo, has been like really challenging me to like establish more of like our own credibility. And I think I really underreport the idea that like David Norman, who's like the soul of our product, is a guy who built up a 600 door property management company, basically him and one other person, until he just couldn't do everything anymore and burned out. Then he went in house for Fannie Mae to manage the distress REO portfolio, and he became like the service provider for Fannie Mae post economic crash, when they were like managing all this stuff. And then like he paired with Reza, who's like a guy that's like built $100 million technology company already. And then we've hired like a handful of guys that have like scaled and sold their property management companies that want to come work for us in house, right? Like I think what you really, really need is the combination of both in order to like really understand the problem and be good enough to like create a solution that I can actually do it, and a business model around it that works. Like this is a really difficult game. So I understand the jadedness of it, right? Like I don't hold them against it. Like, but yeah, I definitely experienced that. It's like, oh yeah, another something this, right? And now it's like, and the SaaS world, like this like technology world that we've lived in for the last like 20 years, they by definition have automated little slivers of things purposely not owning outcomes in order to like reach scale, right? Like the beauty of like the SaaS business model is this like scale without ownership of something that has been the thing. So like obviously if that's what you see a technology provider as, like that's their ultimate goal, is to just like give me a better tool that's like 2% better than what I'm doing right now, but promise me it's going to change my life. Like you start to get more and more jaded. Like I don't blame property managers for it. I feel for them. I think it sucks.
Yeah. Well, and it's fragmented. Nothing, nothing plays really well together. And and then and it's expensive. It's like, oh my gosh, what do I need? And then and then you have the human component, and you're trying to train everybody, and where do you go to find this or that? Or oh no, it's very real, very real.
And you're asking, you're setting up your employees to be jaded about you.
Right.
like if you go to Google and put property management memes, it's essentially a celebration of poor mental health, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like I get it, man. Yeah. Like
I mean, that's why there's memes about all we do is drink, or things are on fire, dumpsters. I mean,
it's a celebration of poor mental health. It's
I mean, I'm surprised that they don't offer like, Botox parties at the conferences or something to help us with our wrinkles. There's opportunity for a vendor. I'll just start that company next month.
You can just have a Botox as a trade show booth activation.
I know. Yeah, I should. So well, I'm curious. I know, because my focus is teaching people how to acquire instead of like, at least like, because it is such a hustle business. I'm anti-hustle culture. I'm not anti-hustle. But I love to be efficient, right? So instead of like hustling, 5 doors a month, 10, whatever, why not go out and buy 200? Do you guys have anything that helps acquirers like go in and be able to, like, I'm going to look at maybe a boomer business or a semi, where I can kind of use an AI agent to help cheat code me faster through due diligence?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So it's funny because we've had to solve for this just to be able to like not, to like not be part of the people that are jading people, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
we've had to completely rethink our onboarding in a
Okay.
way where it feels like a teammate, like I said, right? It has knowledge, blah blah blah, all these different things, and it doesn't feel like before you actually feel any kind of like success, you need to give me a whole bunch of homework before you can like actually get benefit from my tool.
Okay.
And what Nick on our team created is an AI agent that will go through someone's property management system, or 2, 3, 4 years of data, and then spit out, based on performance and based on what's
Mhm.
happening, these are the actual living policies of this company. This is how they are doing maintenance today. And then you can compare that to like the document that you have and say, ooh, like, and while to us that's an onboarding tool, I think for
Right.
acquiring property management companies, I think that's a badass tool, like of
Yeah.
being able to do due diligence in that way. So like we haven't productized that. I think you and I have talked about this idea of like, how do we help you with the companies that you're helping, right? But like, I think that's if you're listening to this and you're another vendor, like you can make that as a business by yourself, right? Like that AI agent by itself can be a product all into itself for companies acquiring other businesses and stuff like that. And I think that that's going to continue to happen, right? Like these like
Yeah.
AI agents that are able to go through actual past performance and tell you, like, hey, you might say that this is what you do, but this is what you actually do on paper. I
Right.
imagine that that's going to completely not just shorten the amount of time for due diligence and allow you to make offers quicker. It's going to greatly de-risk the offers that you make
Right.
and your level of confidence in that.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I just think as you acquire, again, we used to think that if you go from 200 to 500 doors, you got to hire a whole new team.
Right.
Having AI agents running it is going to
Yep.
allow you to acquire other property management companies and bring them in the fold. And
Hmm.
when it's an AI agent making the decisions, then you're not having to like retrain all these other people. Like you can
Exactly.
overnight kind of like flip the switch and it's like, no, this is how decisions are made today. So I think it's gonna bode very well for folks that are out there growing through acquisition.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I can see that in various ways. Is your particular AI agent, is it only maintenance based, or would it be able to go in and even check out like property management agreements or leases that were uploaded or anything like that?
The one that we've created is maintenance based.
Okay. Okay.
But it's the same thing, right? Like somebody else can build right.
Right.
Like
Okay.
like we said, like I feel like every other problem in property management is simpler than maintenance. Like we can go
Right.
solve other problems if we really wanted to. We just want to be in the one that like nobody has figured out yet, right? So like
Right.
I
Yeah.
do like, for example, our AI voice receptionist right now is starting to also handle leasing as well, because it's just like
Leasing.
way,
Okay. Yeah.
way easier to add that piece than it is for a leasing one to handle maintenance, right? So like
Oh, 100%.
that's starting to happen. So if you're pursuing one of these growth through acquisition strategies, I think it's obviously a no-brainer to go with a AI first maintenance department as you scale. Here's what most people don't talk about, right? Like the real risk right now is not into technology, it's in the implementation risk. This idea that your team is going through a scary transition moment where they're not sure if their job is going to be guaranteed. You're going through this like moment of like how to right size this thing. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is work with a team that's done this 500 plus times. That's us. That's Vendoroo, right? We've done this 500 plus times. According to the propertymanagement.com report, we are delivering by far the biggest outcomes, evidenced by the idea that our clients' NPS scores to their clients are like 20 points higher than anybody else. So that's what you want to think about, is these outcomes-based approach of people that have done this. We messed up the first 25 implementations, right? Like we had to learn a lot of different things. Now that we're 500 plus, we know the path. We've devoted a ton of resources and team and people to help support you through this. So if you're going through this AI transition, whether it's for acquisitions or not, the best thing that you can do is work with a company that's done this 500 plus times, has this thing figured out, is proven to be delivering these transformative results, and can show your team what's in it for them. That's us. That's Vendoroo. go to vendoroo.ai, check out a demo. We'd love to get started with you. So yeah, we can, like right now, when people train their AI voice agent, their receptionist that we call her, we upload a blank property management agreement, and now anybody calls in, they can ask questions about like, what are my fees and what or whatever, and she can answer that immediately.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I could see that being a really cool feature to offer should people need something like that. And then just the overall, yeah, as far as like adding the teammates or not adding the teammates. I mean, I teach a lot about that as far as, do you take on the staff that they have or not? I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan. I have clients that use Vendoroo and they love it. And it's helped them immensely. Like they don't even complain about maintenance. Like that's not even on our radar when we're talking. It's other things.
That's amazing. Is that rare?
Yeah. Is that rare?
Like, is it rare for a property manager to not like, I don't know. I'm so dialed in on maintenance and like that world that I don't know how much people complain about other parts of the business. Right. Like, and I don't know how much like maintenance drives complaints versus other things in the business driving complaints. So like, that's what I'm asking. Like, is it rare for like, is the amount of complaints coming from a property manager that you tend to coach coming across a whole bunch of things, or is maintenance like a main driver of like the pain around things? Like, how would you categorize those pains?
The ones I work with, probably not maintenance. No, probably more just people in general, like HR, and then like their organizational chart. So a lot of times people will come to me because they do want to grow. So they want to double, triple their size. And so we actually usually just start with the org chart. And then if they're not using like a Vendoroo or, something like that, then we'll start building their org chart out so that they're not necessarily hiring more people. They might be reconfiguring and then, that kind of thing. So
That's cool.
it's pretty fun. So have you ever thought about buying a maintenance or not a maintenance company, but a property management company and then like making it
I have
the vision of
I've thought less about that and more about, I own this, right? Like I have a 5-door portfolio. I have 2 different property managers because they're kind of like 2 different types of asset classes within it. But I have really thought, obviously, like every other property management client, I'm like, well, maybe I can save this like $8,000 a year I pay to my property manager and like have AI kind of like running my own portfolio outside of a couple of other things. So, I mean, that obviously crosses my mind. I'm a little bit somewhere between like too lazy and too like busy with Vendoroo and plus my marketing agency. Like I already have my hand in enough pots. But yeah, man, has the and then I'll be 100% like vulnerable here. Like it is not easy to build a startup in like a new emerging technology where it feels like you're like in a Mortal Kombat tournament all the time. And when things are really hard, I have been known to look at other people on my team and be like, why don't we just build a property management company with our technology? Like, why don't we just build a giant real estate portfolio? Like, isn't that a more certain path to winning here? So that's, at my lows, I do that. Yeah.
Right. At your lows, you're like, yes, I would love to build or buy a property management company because, when you're low, why not just go a little bit lower? I'm teasing, but no, that's fun. Well, I mean, if your team would like consulting on how to buy one, I'm happy to provide that. But I know. I mean, because there's part of me where I know I will buy one again in the future. And there's part of me that's like, I'm kind of chomping at the bit because I have like this vision. And I just want to do something
what's the vision, Stacey? Tell me the vision. I want you to lay it out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of what we've talked about before. But
I want it on your content stream.
Okay. On my content stream. Yeah. So my vision would be, I mean, we're talking several hundred doors, and let's just say like 1,000 doors. You need your top leader, your licensed property manager, maybe 2, we'll see. Definitely your Dreamweaver, your community Dreamweaver. And then I think, just AI agents with all the things. I think, well, and then definitely like an AI manager, I would say, like that tech manager. Like I think I think that we're going to see, I think that's where the younger generation's really going to come in and help us out. I mean, that Gen Z generation, and they're going to be able to come in, and they're a really cool generation. Maybe it's because I raised 3 of them and I think mine are cool. But I think they're going to be able to come in and see things that like my generation can't, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to look at things differently. They're also very much about experience.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to teach, like, I'm Gen X, like we were ignored and we had no experience. Our experience was like negative. So we're like happy if something's kind of okay. Yeah. But that younger gen is going to come in and really, I think, help make things really beautiful. So I would love to do something like that. I think it would be really cool. And I'd like to prove that I'm right. So
I think that'd be really so. But what's your vision as far as this coaching business and this acquisitions business versus like being an operator again? What's your dream state for what you are building currently right now?
Oh, my dream state. Well, I love teaching people to grow their wealth through acquisition, honestly. When I kind of landed on that this year, also thank you for pushing me in your mastermind that I was part of.
You a couple of pokes, just a few pokes.
I know. You're like, that's so boring when I was talking about operations. Ultimately, I am going to be on stages and I'm going to be teaching women how to acquire businesses and build wealth. And so I look at my journey and I look at how I did it. And I started kind of the old school way. I started a business from the ground up. I hustled, I got doors, and then I did I acquired doors, which took my business from, good to like amazing. Yeah. And I look back and I'm like, wow, that was really cool. How efficient, right? And so we don't have enough women leadership in property management. Property management's dominated by women, but there are a lot of the doers, like the worker bees. But when you get to that owner broker level, there's very few women that are sole owner broker. So it is my passion to bring more women into that. I think that women are great leaders. I think that we bring kind of a different outlook overall and kind of more holistic type look. Yeah. And I want to teach women how to be super efficient with their time. So women, why are you trying to go out and grow 5 doors a month? Yeah. Let's, come learn with me and I will teach you, go by 200 or 300 at a time. And then I'll teach you how to make it even more efficient by incorporating like the AI and all that kind of good stuff. So that's really what I look forward to.
What do you think it's going to take for a woman to take on these roles, like to not just like take on these, or it doesn't even matter. Like, am I thinking too much like a guy, right? Like, here's what I think about often. Okay. There is I think most, a generation of women of my age are the first generation that I think are en masse raising other women without having been imposed those limitations that they were raised with before, right? Like our age, like around there, right? Like since you're a young girl, you can be president. Like it's something that kind of like appeared as like, oh, we can have that conversation and it not just be a joke, right? Like, or even just have the conversation. Probably, I feel like appeared somewhere around like my youth. But then as they come up, I feel like they are overly informed by the woman that we're told that wasn't true, right? So like that kind of trickles down. So it's like, I feel like it's this like the generation of like your daughter has the first shot of, being raised by a woman that doesn't accept those limitations. And therefore, like one more generation below that, it'll be completely normalized of that. So like, is there any way to accelerate this idea of women taking on these leadership roles without having this like gravity around them that seems to exist? And is that even, am I just thinking like a guy of like, well, they need to be CEOs, or like what's I don't know, man. Like what's your best view of like how that starts to really like balance out some? Cause I agree with you. It feels that most of these property management rooms are women. And yet the people that are like the speakers and the influencers and the whatever are all dudes.
Yeah. It's very true. I know. I think I'm one of the only female influencers. I mean, there's more than just me, but yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a really good question and good thought. I think, this is probably going to be a weird answer and people are going to think I'm kind of insane, but they usually think I'm crazy anyway. So I actually think that with the new technology, like with AI and everything coming on, it actually will enable women to have more time and be more efficient. Because I will say that, being a mom, so let's say I became a mom at age 29, and then, most of my career has been, through my 30s, 40s, and now I'm 50. It is not easy. I mean, I gave up a lot, right? Because I had 3 kids. I ran companies. I started a company. I bought a company. I mean, I've done all the things. I've sold them. I've bought whatever, all the things. But with that came a lot of sacrifices, like personal life, as far as like just even myself. But I look at the future and I look at, okay, so we could start being even more efficient, whether it's in our personal life or professional life. I mean, even to the thought of like acquiring, like even that's just more efficient. I mean, sure, it might be kind of harder, maybe to assimilate 200, 300 doors into your business, but also not if you're really looking at it like big picture and you're not just like looking at it like old school way. So I think as time moves on and, AI just keeps multiplying and multiplying, I think we're going to see so many things come in on personal level and professional level that can probably take away a lot of the minutia that women have to carry, because we do carry a lot. And again, I'm not bashing my guys. I mean, you're like one of my besties, but generally speaking, the moms, especially, like, we make all the doctor appointments. We make all the dentist appointments. Oh, when's your haircut? Oh, have you had your shots? Oh, wait, back to school shopping. Oh, and then you're running a company. Oh, I'm going to go buy one. But I think that will make a big difference. I mean, I don't think we're there yet. I thought we would be there by now. But I haven't, unfortunately, seen it yet. But we will. And it's one of my passions. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I like your take on, if we can solve for efficiency for women, then we can unburden them from these other expectations. I growing up in a Hispanic household, I just thought expectation, like the expectations of women versus men in a Hispanic household that I grew up in, were just very unfair. And like, to me, it's like, how do you get to the point where these expectations aren't the things that are making you drown? But I like the idea that, if the expectations are that you just have to be able to like do all these little tasks and do all these other things, AI is going to be able to handle that. So you're going to be able to meet the expectations through technology, and then you can go off do your thing. So I hope that that's true. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope that one day I have an AI agent working for me, doing my job and making me money. And then I'm just going to be on the beach with my dog and my husband. Yeah. That's what I hope. And I mean, I do think that will happen.
What's the name of your puppy corgi?
Well, so we have little Junie Bear is my baby. And then we have Vinny the corgi.
Vinny. Yeah. I think within Vinny's life, it'll be true.
Yes. Yes. Well, Junie is only 3 years old.
Just a couple of dog years away.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And then you have your sweet dog as well.
Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy. She's so cute. Yeah. So, well, this was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming on.